So hello everyone. So hopefully it can work out now. Now I only need to start the chat so I can see the chat. So it should be okay now. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Great. Thanks for waiting for me. It's the first time I'm trying live this way. So it's great that it actually is working now. So thanks for joining. So today I wanted to kick off a series, I think 5 lessons about creating your own character, and then I will give homework on to create your own character. And what I want to do in these 5 lessons is that you create your own character for maybe your own TV show or your own movie. That you have something after those lessons that you will have a character design that you can put in your portfolio. So I will go through the lesson now. So let's start. So I don't know if everyone's seen the first lesson, but I explained about that if you're starting your character, it's important to first write. So know your character. So for example, I had to draw a character called Triton, and his age is 37, and Luke is he's been through a lot. Role is warrior, guardian. Character is tough but hero. So if you create a character, make for yourself a list, and it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but of course the name, and it's important to give your character a name so you know, so then it comes to life, and that is really important. Also think of the age and the look and the role. That really helps. And also sometimes if you have a job interview for character designer, there's a big chance they're going to ask, they see your portfolio and they're going to ask, hey, is that character, what is that character's name? Or what is that character age? Or why does he look like this? And if you have answers for that, that's really good. So if you want to know more about, if you want to become a character artist, then it's also really important to know a bit about writing your own stories and writing your character. You don't have to be a really professional writer, but at least you should understand it. I think also we draw to communicate. So these books are really great. This one is also great. It's from one of the storyboard artists from Aladdin from Disney, and he's made a great storyboard book, and he tells about how stories are built and stuff like that. And then we have this book, The Writer's Journey, and that goes into depth in the stories we had since the Greek, so it's the Odysseus, the story, and they had a structure. In story is structure. So they explain that in this book. And also in the book, they tell about different characters you have in the story, like your main character or the sidekick and so on. And then you have Invisible Ink. It's also a great story, and it talks about the construction. And then you have Save the Cat. It's also a great book. So yeah, I think I have one or two books more than this about story, but these ones are great. So if I get a briefing, like for example this. So you can get this from a client, or you come up for yourself, your own personal project. And this is probably how a lot of you starting out. You want to build a portfolio. So I think if you're going to make a portfolio for character design, so it's good to start with your own project. So if you want to work for movies, make a movie. Um, so start writing a story with characters and stuff, and then you can build your own characters. So we will go into steps about this. So for this project, now I created this, and so simple can it be. Character name Triton, age 37. So, and if I have that ID, I go to Pinterest or Google, and I try finding maybe some reference. And here I'm showing a lot of art from from artists, and I think that's you need to watch out for that, because then maybe you get too close to the art you're looking at, but it can also help you come up with ideas. So if you look at this character here, we see here this, maybe this would be really cool to use in your character, and maybe you can make this a bit different. Don't do it exactly the same. Or I think this is a bit better to take reference from, because then you can see, oh yeah, this is a Greek statue, so there's some cool information here. It's also some cool information about all the stuff that grows on his arms and all so sea vegetables. So also looking here, you have these scrubs. Yes, so it's really good to look at all these things and put them together. And here you can see, oh, here's also using this seashell on his shoulder. So that's really cool. Or this thing behind the ears. And, maybe you can also look up some pictures from fishes, and that can really help in your development. It's also really good to look for props. So in animation or concept art, you have character design, you have background design, you have prop design. And props are the things you can hold, like a spear or a face or anything else. So it's also good to look for those things. So here, this super cliche, but at the same time, that's also then, oh, what does it make something really Greek or anything? And this spear is this is a real Greek spear, so that's really useful information. And so you can also look at actors. So for this character, I looked up some actors, and of course, super easy to take him, because he already plays Aquaman. But then maybe you can find some other actors you would like for your character. So it's really good to do a lot of research. And to be honest, I did this really fast, and you could go. I could have tried to find more artsy things like games or things. I could try to find a bit more of the mythology or of the real source. With reference, it's super important to, if you're going to make your own character. But before you start searching reference, think about your story of your character. So the style. So here I want to show this. So you can go from abstract to realistic. You can put them all together, and then you see here super realistic characters, and here is an here's an abstract character, and these are more cartoony, and so on. So you start with this cartoony character, and then you have these more and then it starts to get more detailed and realistic, and it gets more anatomy. So why I put this here, so if you're creating your own character, it's important to understand where you want to be your character. Do you want to make something really cartoony? Then maybe you can make something that's close to here. Or do you want to make something more realistic? Then you can make something here. So it's good to be mindful about it. Also, what do you like and where do you want to go to? So here I made some quick dirty sketches of some characters. So this one is the iconic. So iconic, and then you can think of Dexter or other really cartoony shows. So, and there you use these really simple shapes. So then I use these basic shapes, like this, and those big eyes, or eyebrows. And what I do with these kind of things, it's really interesting to make these things because you really need to be mindful about the shapes you use. So, for example, the eyebrows here, it's wide, and here it gets narrower. You see, so it's not, you don't make those eyebrows like this, but you make them more like this or something to give it a more interesting shape. Maybe something like that to break it. And a round shape. So it's also good to, you have these three shapes: round, triangle, or square. So for now we're really, it's really designy and making an iconic character. And what's really funny about this style is you can go crazy. So you're starting off with a cliche, so it's called Triton, and he has a beard. We give him this little beard thing here, and like this, and then his body. Maybe we can give his belt buckle, make a shell of it. So there's, you can put all these little details in it to, you can put these little details in it, like the shell as buckle, to tell it's from the sea. So maybe you lost his leg in the war, and he replaced it with a fish hook, because you have a lot of fish hooks on the bottom of the sea, and maybe you can come up with better ideas. Or maybe he has he lost his arm, or maybe he has an, how do you call it? There's some bad magic to him, so he has a tentacle as an arm, and so you can really go crazy with his arm. And adding these things and give it backstory can really make it richer. So you could think about how you can make it richer. So, and then of course you have the cliches to show it's still Triton. So here we give him this thing. So if you add details, that's perfectly fine. But give them meaning. Think about what those details mean, and always have that story about who your character is, what is his age, and where do you want to, how cartoony do you want him to be. So, but you can also, here this is super iconic and the Dexter cartoons and stuff like that. But you can also go a bit more stylized, think Samurai Jack. But then it's different story. It's more a bit more serious and stuff like that. So it could be it's what you want to go, or you can go really funny and more extreme and broad, and so it's so then you can give it more. Um, so here, this is more than how would you say that? So less stylized and more like Disney or stuff than that, and then you can use it to you can load up to make it funny, for example. But those slapstick cartoons you will get. So you can also go for a bit more realistic, kind of Disney style or something like that. Give him this head shape, and then give him this big beard, mustache. Like this. So think about what kind of style do you want to give it. And when I start with creating a character, I start with then I start often with the head. So I start drawing the head, and then I think I want to have it like it's a bit of a Disney movie or something. So it's a bit realistic, but not too much. There's still some room for character. And sometimes you're working for a client, and then the client can tell that he wants it more. Yeah, then the client can tell, oh, I want to have it realistic or stuff like that, and so. But I often start with drawing those heads here like this, and then what I did here I did 3D signs, and I tried to make 3 different takes on this story. So, but a bit different. This one looks a bit younger, and he has different hair. He's more narrow, and this one is a bit more thick and roundish, and this one is a bit more, a bit older, younger. But I think they're still fitting the description. And this one is maybe a bit more comic relief, more funny. So if I would send this to a client, then I would make 3 different heads. I wouldn't send too many stuff, but then that all fit this description, but all have a bit difference in them. So there's something to choose. So there's some contrast. So, and when I send those heads, then the client can choose which one he liked the most. So maybe, but you can also get feedback from, oh, I like this head, but maybe you can give him this beard or something, and then you make an adjustment and so on. Or I like this hair type. So it's really important to look out But what I could have made better here, so for example, here he has his clothing like this. And maybe this character can have different clothing like this, something. And this one, maybe this one doesn't have any t-shirt on or something. But then you have, yeah, try to make it as different as possible. So after maybe the client did say, so I sent those 3 hats to the client, and the client says, oh, I like this one the most. So continue working on that. So then you can start creating the character. So what I did here is use the reference from before. And I started, then adding, for example, so I had this thing in mind, like you see here. So you see them wearing these things. So maybe you could also wear that in your thing. And then you see sometimes they have these shells on their shoulder. So maybe that's funny. But maybe we can make it a bit different so it's not the same. Maybe you can make a shell that's a bit like this or something. Or maybe you can try Google shells so you can find something. And also give him this shield. Maybe this shield is like this, but then maybe it's a big shell thing from the sea. So I try to think. So I try to give everything meaning. So here this skirt. It's a bit like that. So maybe it could be a bit more like this or something. Or look what the Spartans used or something else. So try to find the reference and examples. And maybe we can give him some headgear to show he's Triton. So something like this. And then give him this spear. What I liked with the God of War is that they gave him a sword like this. So it's a sword, but it's still that Triton into it. So that's really smart, and that makes it a bit more original. So use lookup reference and use that in your character design. So for the next week homework, what I would like to see is that you create your own character. So later I'll also show that. So for next week homework, start with creating a story. And it can be really simple. Story character. It doesn't really have to be a story. You can make it as crazy as you want, but give your character a name and age, and think a bit about who he is. What kind of job does he has? And so you can give it some details, and then after that you can find reference. And then 3 is to draw some different heads. Design some heads that fits that character. So 4 is then design a body. So design a body out of one of these heads that you like the most. So try to work in these steps. But first, Story is most important. So try to get that in your characters. So now let's go into the homework assignments for the drawing hands, and let's kick it off with the homework from Jenny. So let me know if you're online and you did some of the homework. So let's can we start with start with the cartoony hands. These are really good, really nice. So what's maybe important is to try to think of the construction and get these shapes nice and solid. Get these nice lines in, stuff like this, and maybe this can be a bit thicker. Maybe think of that action line in it, like goes like this. And here, this finger, it goes like this. Here we have this thumb. Maybe sticks a bit more out, but I like that you really see the show and the side. So you show a bit of 3D. So that's really good. And then, for example, this hand. I think this hand could be a bit stronger. So let's fix this one a bit. We give this finger maybe we want to give it some negative space here, some room to breathe in. I'll show in a bit what I mean with that. So maybe if you do that, look at your own fingers. If you do that, now maybe put these fingers up, or maybe this one down. It's, this is quite a hard one to really fix. Really good. Maybe I think this would work a bit better. So sketch this first. Take this one, put it here. And let's erase it a bit. So then we can have this here, this nice line, this S shape. Here you see S shape, and group these two fingers a bit together. These fingers here. So I'm trying to find these nice curves. So it goes like this. It should all flow really nice. So then here. Something like this. This one is also really hard. It's good that you're trying, because then you're learning a lot. So let's take this one here. So there's a lot of overlap in it. But now it looks like the hand goes a bit like this. See, like it for some reason. So what's the finger will be here, and you have your finger like this. Something like this. Okay, and let's erase it. And then it's quite, you look up onto it, or maybe you just hold the finger like that. Be more like this. Maybe stick it out a bit more. I honestly don't know. I would like to put a bit more time in it before I'm not really happy with this. Maybe yours is even here a bit stronger. So maybe you can put this and then put the thumb a bit up, something like this. But then it doesn't look really like pointing. Maybe it works better if you put this thumb down. Like this. Yeah, the foreshortening can be really hard. I think with this one, and I can help a bit more easy with it. So think of that hand here. You have these. I think you need to put them out a bit more. If he's holding the pencil, think of the pencils going. Draw the pencil a bit through. So I think you need a bit more space here between the fingers and the pencil. This one, let's draw in the ball first. Then draw this. I think the fingers are getting a bit too thin here, so you can make them a bit thicker. So something like this. So yeah, I think you could group these fingers like this, and then this finger loose. So watch out that you don't make thing loose. For example, if he's holding here this finger, so give this up so that it feels like they're touching each other, like this here. But nice work. Keep that up. And then we have this one, these ones. These look great. Maybe no, it's the right length fingers. So that's really good. Yeah, nice work. These ones. It's also great. Maybe you can try out to make them a bit more cartoony. For example, like this. You can give them a bit more flow and maybe a bit more simplification if you want to stylize it for your drawing. Yes. So there's a bit more flow into it. And so here, it just looks a bit too much. Here, how more of you add these lines, the older it starts to look. I like that you grouped these two fingers. It's really nice. It's also really nice that you did this. So yeah, I think you could simplify them a bit. If you make this straight, it's a bit more easier to see. Also, I think remove these lines. That is. So, yeah, nice work. Keep it up. Just keep practicing this, and nice. Then we have John. Hi, John. So let's look. I really like this one. Nice. I really like that you have these. You can feel these flows in it. So you're doing a good job with that. Keep doing that. So then you can get really a cool. Maybe give this thumb, make this thumb a little bit thicker, and then think how that wraps around. And with those fingers like this. So that's really nice. I also really like that you have this finger. Maybe you can use a bit more of that S line. Yeah, that's really nice. So keep practicing this. You're almost there, man. So this hand looks a bit strange. So think of the construction a bit more here. And this long, think of the from the lesson, the proportions. Yeah, if you look at your own hand, your thumb doesn't go there, but your thumb goes to this side, so it should be somewhere here. So what's your proportions? Nice work. Keep it up. You're really challenging yourself because these are really hard ones to pull off. So draw these shapes as well. So draw these construction shape. Draw in boxes like this, and then in tubes to get a good understanding of the 3D shapes. I think. So what you could do is take the reference, for example, this one, and keep it besides it. Then you can see, oh, here we have this shape that goes like this. Oh no, not because it goes here to that finger, like this. And then here you know that you have here you have this length. So then you know that that is for the middle finger. So this finger should be a bit shorter. So then you don't know. So what I'm now doing that I'm breaking it down next to that one. So I know that this is the half. So then it should be like this. Then here you can have that S shape. So then you know that. So that's how you can. That's how if I have difficulty with drawing hands, I try to fix it that way. So here's the same thing. I think here this looks really good. This part. Then the fingers, you can think, oh, that's the fingers are. Then here 1 1. So then you have. Yeah, I think they can be a bit longer or something. But try to maybe put this next to your drawings to learn it. But nice work. Keep it up, John. So then we have Kelly. So these are also really great. Looks like I'm missing a bit of it here. So I do like them, but this is really sort of style, almost the Simpsons or something. So you're using a lot of you're drawing the hands like this, really straight, and then the thumb it's also straight, and all those fingers are also straight. So if we take, let's put them a bit softer. How we could do it different is then use different lines here, straight one, and maybe we can use a one with a curve in like this. Then we can use an S shape here, and we can use a straight. Oh, for the here we can use a straight one, the top, straight, and then here we can use an S shape like this, and then we have these fingers going like this. So here an S, and then here. So you can make these shapes a bit more, and also a bit more line of action, so that everything moves a bit that way. And also, so if it's pointing, you can also put it finger a bit up, and then let everything goes a bit that way. So those fingers also maybe goes a bit like this. I will probably search a bit more to it, but that's the point I want to make. So also for this one, think of the yeah, maybe you can make a curve like this, and then think of the knuckles. You can make this one a bit straight, and then here this, so like this. So try to think, don't do this, but do this, or do this, or do this, and this. Or try an S shape against a straight one. See, for finger, you can straight versus curved. Or you can use round versus an S shape, and so on. So don't do this, but do this, this, this. And don't do this, for example, as well. Then if you want to do something like this, you can better try to make this an S shape. So these ones are also really great. So think of the yeah, just keep practicing this and try to draw in these shapes as well. So and then you can erase them softly and then draw over them. But draw these draw these shapes in it like this. So like you're modeling in 3D. So draw in those Preston Blair shapes. Look at Preston Blair. These all look really great. Don't have a lot of feedback on that. Maybe this one it seems a bit off. Should be a bit more. So also think of the correction. I would love to see the sketches you make before this. Do you first draw under it, and you can be a bit more sketchy. and think more of the construction. Like you see from Andrew Loomis, his books. You can Google him. Google Andrew Loomis for construction tips as well. So thanks. Cloudy. Yeah, these are also really good. These are great studies. So good that you're doing this. So keep doing these studies and with your own. So yeah, think about how does that go with the wrist and stuff. And then I think yeah, if you make this angle with your wrist, I think your thumb should be a bit more like this. And then maybe think a bit more in also in flow. So we have this, and then you can, if you made this, then you can start drawing on top of that, and using those straight versus an S shape and so on. But great work, Claudia. Keep it up. And then hands from G, and these are also really good. I think also think about the construction. Draw these shapes. I would like to see that you draw in these shapes. But think of how it works in 3D. So think in circles or spheres in 3D, cylinders and boxes. Try to build those hands out of those shapes. So a circle, and then you can use here a tube, for example here, and here you can draw one shape for these two fingers like this. And you can here, and then here you can also draw a cylinder for the arm. And also if someone's pushing their fingers here like this on the ground, you can bend them. Because it's cartoony, you can exaggerate and make it a bit more extreme. You can also put more. Yeah, let's look at this one. So I think you can simplify them a bit here. Or it's your style. So I try to get a bit more flow in it. And that's all practice, practice, practice. So flow in construction. Okay. So try to think of that. And then you can keep working on that. So next we have Sarah. That's one. And yeah, these are really good. Yeah, great. I think those breakdowns are really good. I don't have too much to say about that. Yeah, practice that. Keep practicing these nine and these lines a bit. Here, this is an S versus an S. So maybe you can better make here, this is an S, or maybe you can make a straight on this one and then an S here. And then a C here, and then look out with this. This is a bit too much like this. So this looks a bit too much. Maybe we can make this. We do. Let's see how we can do this. Maybe it's better if we make it more simple. something like this. But watch out that you don't. Watch out for this, because it doesn't look nice. Then this will look. It's too symmetrical to repeating. So maybe you can try it like this or something. And here, I think this works better if you do it like this, for example. Make it a bit more simple if you're making it like this. Also, maybe if it's better if you push this finger a bit more up, this thumb, so there's a bit more negative space. This is really nice, but maybe should be more. If that's this angle, should be maybe a bit more like this. But these are all great. Keep it up. And here, I think, here you could do a bit more. Make it simple. There's a great exercise of these things. When keep it really simple. This is too repetitive. So what you could maybe do is then I would make this thumb a bit thicker. I think I would just make something like this. Here you see it goes all a bit inwards. Like this. Yeah, I think here you tried some angles. That's cool. Maybe try to think a bit of the proportions. Maybe do it more like this then. So you also have simple, for example, if you're drawing a hand, you have simple. This is the simple side versus complex. So that's really nice. But great work. Do this one like this. But great work. Keep it up. So that one was the last one. I will post the homework on the Patreon page. So that's it. And I don't have that much. I don't have that much time anymore. But does anyone have a quick question? So next time I will again try this live video, and I think this one was maybe a bit messy because how I started, that I didn't really knew how this. I have to figure it a bit out how I can best tackle this. So, but I will keep improving on that. And thanks everyone for watching. And I hope to see you next time. And I will post the homework assignment on Patreon as well. I can also show it here a bit. I already talked about it. So I want that you create your own character. So start with the story. So make a description like this. And then if you have this story, create 3 heads like that. And then, of course, first you start with the story. Then you look for a reference on Pinterest or in Google, like this. Make we call that a mood board. So you create your own mood board for your own character. And then if you have your mood board, you can create your own characters from that reference and from the story. And then pick one of those heads you like the most and create a character of it. With some gear. And then you can email it to me and call it Patreon week 6. And before the 21st. So thanks everyone. I will post it on Patreon, and there you can also ask me some questions and so on. So great that you've being at my first live lesson. Cheers, everyone.